Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. It's just Marco here once again, and I am here today to review Your Honor, which I don't even really think that that's a good title anymore for the show because Michael can't be a judge right now, so I don't think he'll ever be able to be a judge again, unfortunately. So they should really just change the name to Your Grandfather because that's pretty much all he is now. He's just a grandfather, an emo grandfather, meat deliverer. Well, he did some other things with meat in this episode. Like him and Jimmy were both kind of trying to do some things with meat, with their meat, and especially Michael, he had this extended sequence where he chops up meat to put in a display case and it's filet mignon. And all I could think of was like, is this whole episode, is it going to be boring? Like, is this going to be slow paced and going to be like as slow as episode 2? And thankfully I was wrong because at first I was really worried. I was like, no, I don't want to start disliking the show again. And then like after 10 minutes it started to get better, and it got better and better and better and better. And so I really like this episode. I would say this I don't know if it's my favorite episode so far, just because episode 1 was such a strong opening. I mean, it was such a surprise and such a pleasant return to see all these characters and to see this dark sort of like scenario where it's like, it shouldn't have even happened because he should have just died. But no, what was her name again? Grace? Mrs. I want to talk to you, Michael. I want to talk to you. And now she's literally just going around everywhere in the whole city and just telling people, hey, I want to talk to you. Do you have a minute to talk? And then at some points, it's like, what if she went up to the wrong person? Like you could do like a whole episode where she's just going around going, hey, I want to talk to you. Oh, Eugene. Oh, I want to talk to you a lot, Eugene. I don't know. I don't. It's just, it seems like that's all she does. Like she's obsessed with talking to people, and like that's her whole job. It's like she takes her job way too seriously. She's like that fucking little kid at school who reminds the teacher that there's still homework to be given out or something. Like she's that type of person. She is just the worst. She is one of those villains, and yeah, she's a villain. I mean, come on. She's one of those villains where you love to hate her, and then you love it when she gets what she deserves. Like she's basically like Carlo, but with a lot more intelligence and a lot more power. So the episode starts off, and right off the bat, I mean, one of the funniest things that's ever happened on TV, where you had this fugitive Eugene. He just magically registers into school, and he's just going around the world. Just he can evade all the authorities. He's as slippery as a snake. And I'm gonna look that up now. I'm gonna have to look that up because earlier I was like, what was that they said the Grinch? Because I am serious, like it is getting so ridiculous with Eugene, the way that he just evades all authorities and he evades all trouble, and he's got this huge plot armor. It's even worse in this episode because remember last week when he did that thing with the drawings, which was again, one of the funniest things I've ever seen on a show, ever, in history. And I've seen a lot of things. Okay, I just had to look up slippery. Where is it? Oh, here we go. And I will dedicate this to Eugene at the end when I explain why he is the way that he is, like the Grinch. And so this week, getting back to what I was saying, this week he does more drawings that he's not supposed to be doing because, he's a fugitive. They're going to, figure out who he is and do bad things. It doesn't matter if somebody supposedly died or not. Like, the authorities would still be looking, and you would not be doing these explicit drawings where you're like, hey, look, I did this. Hey, look, I did that. Drawing these crime scene pictures where the character is him. I mean, there's not even any attempt. It's like the most blatant, like, self-insert. Like, it's so self-inserty that you can't even really say, like, oh, it's a character. Like, because I used to do that too. Like, I would make stories and do pictures where I was the character. Like, I came up with this one where it was about this kid who got turned into an alligator superhero, and he had to go around finding his parents because his parents sold him to the bad guys, and then they turned him into this monster. And and I did not make my character look like me almost at all. Like, I made all these attempts to make him not look like me. And so, like, I feel like any idiot in the village would figure out, like, Eugene, he's basically confessing through pictures. And this week it's even worse because he does more pictures and he puts them up in his locker. He hangs the evidence up in his school locker, and he says, hey, look, this one's Kofi. This character is Kofi. Like, that Kofi guy and that big case in fucking New Orleans. That's Kofi. And they're like, oh, wow. And he tells the principal or the teacher, hey, look, it's Kofi. It's Kofi, see? Hey, look at me. And no questions are raised. He just goes off on his merry way. And I gotta say, like, it was laughably bad how Kim got away with everything in Better Call Saul. It was insulting and embarrassing. But this just takes it to a whole new level. Like, this is so laughable. I mean, I will say, though, like, I thought that Eugene did a good job acting this episode. Like, he did do a good job. I thought all the actors did good this episode, including Eugene. So even though his character is is pretty much like he's obliterated beyond recognition, I'll still say, the actor is doing a good job, at least for this episode. I thought that he was solid the whole episode, so. But I just thought that was hilarious. Like, I couldn't wait to talk about that. It's Kofi! Like, oh, God. Stupid decisions. I mean, just imagine if the real people who committed the JFK assassination, just imagine if like a month after the assassination, they drew pictures of JFK's head exploded, and they drew a picture of themselves at their shooting vantage points, and then they go around saying, hey, look, it's me, see, it's me. Like, nobody would ignore that. Everybody would be on them and, like, arresting them and questioning them about these pictures. They would not just be able to get away with that at all. And so, it's just really weird. It's really bizarre. And then there's this whole sequence where Gina, she is, as we talked about in the last episode, she is starting to become the bigger villain out of Jimmy and her. He doesn't really do much of anything besides make this smug, mean face, like this, like, childish face where he's like, it's kind of like a Robert De Niro impersonation, the way that he he closes his mouth and kind of like shakes his head around. Like, it literally looks like fucking Zac Efron doing the Robert De Niro impression in Neighbors. Or wait, no, was he the one who did that particular? No, it was Dave Franco who did that particular expression in that movie. But you guys know what I'm talking about. The Robert De Niro face. That's pretty much all Jimmy does. Like, he doesn't really do anything violent so far. He is still the same old Jimmy, except he's a little bit bitch slapped. Like, he especially in this episode, he gets bitch slapped like the entire way. Like, it's pretty funny. Like, at first you have Michael and he's gonna go on a picnic with Fia, and I was like, oh fuck yeah. Like, Michael is living the dream life right here. Like, he's going on a picnic with Fia, and wow. I mean, talk about a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And he's just sitting there minding his own business, and then Carlo intimidates him into leaving for some reason. There's this whole storyline going on where Michael wants to be close with the grandson now, partly because he likes the Rosemary's Baby grandson, and partly because he's being forced to by, I want to talk to you. He's being forced to do that by her. You know, she's just like, be a grandfather, Michael. You just be a grandfather to that little baby. You just do that. What's the baby's name, Michael? Like, she's pretty good, I gotta say. Like, I love all the actors in the show. They're all equally great. But there's this weird thing where, like, the Baxter family, aside Fia, they don't want him to be around her or the baby. And it's really weird. It's like, wait a second, that's his grandson. Like, you'd think that this would be something that they would at least be like, yeah, whatever. But no, like, every time he goes around this baby, there's like some sort of a Mission Impossible style mission. Like, just everyone jumps to action to get Michael away from this baby. And so Carlo does that, and there is a really great little line that pays off later in the episode where he says, you know what, Carlo, you remind me of Harry the Hook. And he's like, who's that? And then you find out later in the episode that he was this gangster and he committed a murder and he was acquitted, and then later he got put back in prison. And it's like, oh shit, that was like a big slap in the face to Carlo. And I thought that was great. That was one of my favorite things of the episode, because it felt like something that could have happened in the first season where Michael was still a judge or something. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just, that was part of the allure to the show, was to see Michael in this courtroom situation and to see him talking about all this courtroom crap, courtroom jibber jabber. You know, that was part of what made it great and what made it unique, and now that's kind of gone. And so I like that little bit of just a little. It was more than a jab. It was like an uppercut from Michael. You know, he's not playing around. You know, he may be a cutter and a fucking wimpy emo, but he will fix your clock. Wait, clean your clock. That's what it is. So, getting back to Jimmy. Jimmy's at the bar and his wife is basically slapping him with knowledge, and she's telling him, you know, Jimmy, you suck at business. You need to be doing this and this and this. You got to go after the Desire Gang, because even though they supposedly killed Eugene, they're still our enemy, and you have to go after them and stop being a little bitch. And Jimmy, he does something surprising, and he drags his wife by like her dress collar and he drags her into the hotel room, and it's really weird. It can only be described as like a painful recreation of the Breaking Bad season 2 rape scene where Heisenberg gives a Heisenberg hello to Skylar in front of the refrigerator. It was kind of exactly like that, except for he didn't even rape her. I mean, it was so weird. It's like, what is he doing? He's like, it was like he was like just holding her. Like, it was really weird, and it was creepy, and it just came off like, what are they doing with this character? Like, you expect him at least to slap her, because he's taking her in there because he's putting her in her place, and he's telling her, you don't talk to me like that, and you don't tell me about the business like that and everything. And it's just really weird. He's like rubbing into her, and he's holding her to him, and he's like, wait a second, calm down. And it's really odd. It's probably the weirdest assault, quote unquote assault scene I've ever seen. I mean, in season 1, you had him stabbing the grapefruit. That was hilariously bad. Well, in season 2, you have Jimmy, and he's just like rubbing his wife against him repeatedly and not actually doing anything. And it gets even worse because she's like, oh, you want to F me? Oh, why don't you have your bodyguard do that too? And then she just walks away. So I don't know what they're trying to do with that. Like, it seems like Jimmy, he just makes all these empty threats. He's got no bite to his bark. Is that what you say? He's got no... He's just a wimp. And he's like a schoolyard bully. Like, there's nothing about him that makes me think that he's going to take somebody out back and shoot them, or take somebody and torture them to death or something. Like, there's nothing menacing about him at all anymore. There never really was to begin with, and so it's starting to really become a huge issue, because either it's purposeful and they're trying to make it into like a character trope for him, or a character trait, I mean, that he's like this wimpy gangster who won't do anything, his bodyguards do all the dirty work, or they're trying to make him like sympathetic, to where he's so pathetic that you feel sorry for him, and he shows a lot too much emotion, and then he dies. And there's a later scene that makes this whole thing even worse. So then he actually does like a Kubrick stare. If you guys have ever seen like what they call the Kubrick stare in The Shining, Clockwork Orange, he does a little Kubrick stare, and it's like, okay, where are we going with that? I feel like for some reason, whenever people make a movie or a show, they always do these like fucking Shining references, and it's like for no reason. It's like, wait a second, what's that for? Like, why did you have to have Michael, and he's sitting on the floor in his house, and he's bouncing the tennis ball like fucking Jack Nicholson, doing the same thing in The Shining? Like, why did you really have to have that happen? Like, is that going to lead somewhere interesting? Is that going to lead somewhere where he goes crazy like Jack Nicholson? Like, I really don't get it. It's just a weird thing that's starting to become a cliche now, where you always have to have these Shining references to everything. And Charlie squeezing Michael, awesome AF. You guys see what type of notes I write to prepare for these reviews? Yeah, there was a great scene where Charlie comes to Michael, and he basically asks him if he's talking or not, and if he's telling anyone things about him. And it is a great scene. I mean, Charlie, he's such a great bad guy, and I can't wait to see more scenes like that because he's just so good. I can actually believe that he could do something evil. Like he is very good in terms of that, in comparison to Jimmy, who just stabs grapefruit and hugs his wife like Neil Breen. I mean, it literally was like a scene out of a Neil Breen movie. I'm sorry, guys. It really was. Now Eugene, this part made me even more weirded out. Because Eugene is supposed to be in hiding. He's a fugitive. He's a wanted man. They would probably be treating it like it's like the top priority of the country is to find Eugene. But in this fantasy world, he can just go around doing whatever he wants, I guess, because now, and I can't remember what was that guy's name. Because you have the Mo family, you have Little Mo, Big Mo, Side Mo, whatever. I gotta find that guy's name because he is a good actor, and I don't want to forget what his name is. I think it's I want to say it's Twiggy. But it can't be. Isn't there another Little Mo? I don't know. Yeah, that looks like him. So I guess Little Mo, who's a great actor. He's probably the best actor in the whole Desire Gang storyline. He is taking Eugene around to do like a drug deal and to sit in the car or something. It's to be like a watcher or something, to sit in the car and watch for cops or watch for trouble and then give them a call. And you're just thinking, why would he risk Eugene getting caught or killed or even worse? Why would you do that? These people on the show, some of them make some really poor decisions. It's hard to believe that people would do that, that people would be this dumb. And they have this whole sequence where the Mama Desire, she wants the money back. They do not want to buy these new drugs anymore because the mama wants the money for something else. But there's this other guy, and he does not want to deal with the guys who are selling the drugs getting mad. And so Little Mo and this guy start having a tussle, and the cops just happen to be around, and they come and arrest them. And meanwhile, Eugene, if you're wondering what Eugene is doing the whole time, he is just sitting in the car fucking watching Teletubbies on his iPad, and he's like, oh no, something's happening. And then he gets out of the car and he grabs the drug deal money, and he just literally runs away from the scene because he's just so good at evading authorities and being an undercover, a secret incognito. It's hard to even describe at this point. Eugene is just, he is morphed into full on Super Saiyan fucking criminal. He is just able to do whatever he wants. He can evade authorities everywhere. He can get away with doing anything. It's gotten to the point where it's Eugene, and he gets all the way home too. He's at home and he's like, oh, what do I do? And it's Eugene, you're as slippery as an eel. You're a bad banana with a greasy black peel. You're a monster, Eugene. Your heart's an empty hole. I found the quote because it's that's the first thing that I thought of was fucking Eugene is really as slippery as an eel because he can just get out of any situation. The cops will never be able to find him, especially in the first season where he was doing a Grand Theft Auto role-playing experience in real life. He's just running around doing whatever he wants in the whole city. And then they have this great scene that goes on for like 10 minutes, and it feels like a conversation that you really wanted to see happen after season 1. And it was a question that you really wanted answered. And so Jimmy comes to kick Michael out of his bar, too. And so I guess the Baxters are just going to act like jackasses to Michael now. Like, even though his son was killed, and because they were trying to target their son, even though he has a grandson in that little Adam Rocco Rosemary kid, it's like, oh, just F him. And so the Baxters, whenever they see him, they're going to try to kick him out and get him away because he can't be around them. So he's sitting at the bar talking to Jimmy. He gets Jimmy's attention, and he says, you know, Jimmy, if my son had turned himself in, if little emo Adam had turned himself in, what would you have done? Would you have killed him? And he even says, like, he doesn't even give Jimmy the chance to answer. He just goes right out and says, you would have killed my son. And to me, the whole episode, he's kind of trying to find excuses as to not follow through with Grace and do what he's supposed to do and take down the Baxters. And so the whole scene kind of felt like he was trying to find an excuse, and that, oh, well, Jimmy would have killed my son, and so all of this has been completely worth it, and now I'm going to have to take you down because you're a bad guy. Like, he was really just there to find an excuse to take him down. And Jimmy surprisingly says he would never have killed Adam. And it's weird because it's like Michael believes him. And you think, how stupid would Michael have to be to to believe Jimmy Baxter? I mean, he hasn't really done anything for Michael at all. Like, I mean, what is the Baxter family even done for Michael? Except for just not kill him like decent people. Like, what have they even done? Like, not really even anything. So there really was no reason for Michael to believe. I don't know if he believes him or not, but then Jimmy goes off and he says to his bodyguard, I totally would have killed Adam with my bare hands. And it's like, bruh, you don't do anything with your bare hands. Like, you probably don't even... okay, I don't want to go there. I was going to say, like, I don't think Jimmy does anything with his bare hands at all. I think that he has his bodyguard do the things for him because he's such a little bitch. And so that whole sequence was kind of confusing to me, even though it was good, because I really don't know what Jimmy would have done to Adam personally. Like, he says one thing, he does another thing. He's wimpy. He doesn't, even when he puts that show on where he takes his wife in the hotel room, he doesn't do anything to her. We see in the next episode, in a trailer, that he's gonna try and intimidate Michael, and, you know, obviously Michael isn't gonna die in the show yet, and so obviously he's not gonna follow through on that. And so it's like Jimmy doesn't really do anything. He's just all talk. Very unintimidating. So there was also a scene worth talking about where Grace goes up to Nancy as she's at the shooting range, and she's like, Nancy, I want to talk to you about Michael. I want you to motivate Michael for me because I'm just having trouble motivating him. It's really hard to talk to him because, you know, he doesn't really have any reason for living. You know, he can't be a judge. He doesn't have his emo son. And so he doesn't really have any reason besides his little grandson. And she's like, no, I don't want to do that. So who knows where that's going to go. Because Nancy, she's still mad at Michael, and Lee, who even knows where Lee is? I mean, where is Lee? Is Lee just... Did Lee take a vacation to oh shit, how did I... Belize. Did she take a vacation to Belize? Because I literally don't know why Lee hasn't even been mentioned yet, except for that little time where somebody calls her and there's a voicemail. Like, I wonder, like, what is going on with Lee? And so then at the end of the episode, anyway, they have this whole scene where Michael visits Fia again and the baby, and she goes to the bathroom, and that's when he's just watching over the baby. And this scene was not supposed to be funny, but it's really hilarious. Jimmy walks on the screen, and it's funny because it's filmed like a comedic scene. Like, Michael is standing on the right side of the screen. He's just like, hey, baby. He's like Hal from Malcolm in the Middle again, with a beard. And then Jimmy just walks on the screen, and he has this that same like Robert De Niro face on, and he just makes a mean face at Michael, and then he looks down at the baby making a mean face. It's just so bizarre. It's like it's like, what's Jimmy gonna do? Be like, get out of here? Like, what's he gonna do to Michael? Like, this whole episode, it took Jimmy 20,000 steps backwards in terms of being a good character. Like, he was starting to make some good progress, and I thought, oh, this is kind of interesting. He feels really bad about Adam, and he's the one, besides Michael, who is affected by Adam's death the most. But no, it's like now he's just kind of reverted back to season 1 Jimmy, where he's kind of trash, and he's not really a good villain at all. And so I'm glad at least that his wife is a little bit better of a villain than him, and Mrs. I want to talk to you, I'm glad that she is a better villain than him too. So anyways, I can't wait to see next episode. Can't wait. I know that it's going to be at least entertaining to watch. This episode, I give this another A. I do think it's way better than episode 2, obviously, because episode 2 was just a setup episode. But this episode was really good. Like, there were some really top-tier moments in terms of the series, in terms of the thing with Harry the Hook, in terms of the little conversation at the end, and of course, that whole sequence where the drug deal goes out of whack. That was a really good, like, Breaking Bad style sequence. So I would give another A. Another A episode. It has not fallen off like season 1. So I hope that next episode is just as good or even better. I can't wait to see what this all leads to, because it feels like a very slow burn. But it's a worthy slow burn. And I like that we're still dealing with problems from season 1, because a lot of TV shows, they seem to forget the things that happen in previous episodes and previous seasons. Like, even in like older shows like the Andy Griffith Show, you'll have characters just completely disappear off screen. And I just don't understand why anyone would do that. And so I like how this show, for the most part, is not doing anything like that. Although I will say, where is Lee? Where is she? I mean, is she sick? Is she okay? Let's look it up. I gotta find out. Is Lee okay? Let's just find out the name of the actress as well. Where is she? Where's Lee? Yeah, there she is right there. Carmen Ijogo. I hope that's how you say it. Let's see, is she okay? It says, it says she should be doing fine. I don't see anything about her disappearing or anything. What happened? Is she okay? What was she in like this year? She was in a show called I Am a Virgo. What the fuck is that? And then she will also be in a mini-series called Secret Invasion for this year. Oh, she's gonna be in a stupid Marvel thing? Oh, well, that's what happened. Oh, well, that's really unfortunate that Marvel ruined yet another thing. Well, I should say Disney Marvel ruined yet another thing, because if Lee doesn't show up for the rest of the season, and they don't have a season 3 where she shows up, then that's just going to be a huge gaping hole in the series' history. Like, at the very least, you could mention her, or you could have like hints of where she is or something, like in the X-Files, where they would say, "Oh my God, I got a message from Mulder. It's a DM, and it says Scully." And then that would be like a hint at like, ooh, shit, where is Mulder? What's going on with him? Oh my God, I can't wait to find out. You know, at the very least, you could do something like that instead of just leaving people to sit around and say, where is Lee? Because she was Michael's love interest. I mean, I know that Nancy is kind of like a love interest as well, but I considered her character to be more so just someone who's helping him find out what happened to his wife, because there's still that hanging thread too. So I'm really liking the show, though, because it feels like a show that I'm excited to watch every week, and I think that that's a very important thing for any TV show, is that you're excited to watch an episode next week. You're not dreading it like with The Walking Dead or something like that. You know, it's still exciting. It's still really good. So please like this video, comment, tell me what you thought of the episode. Did you like it when Eugene made more drawings? And then even said, oh look, that's Kofi. And then please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more honest, Your Honor reviews. Goodbye everybody, see you soon.